What do you do over Star Trek hiatus? Make memories? Today on episode 266 of Trekland Tuesdays Live with me, Dr. Trekland Nemecek, coming to you right here from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47 and all things Star Trek for some clarity, sanity, and the big picture in all things Star Trek. Hey, everybody. So glad you could join us for another Tuesday. I hope you're having a good Tuesday and a great week. What do I mean by that? What do you do over Star Trek hiatus? Well, hang on. And you know what? If you're watching us later on YouTube, try to join us sometime on Tuesdays Live. It's a lot of fun. I know it's during the day for North America. If you can, if you ever get the chance, please do and jump in. We have a great community here, as you'll find out. What do you do over Star Trek hiatus? We had months ago, and I even did a subject show here, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, where we said, what does 52 weeks a year Star Trek look like? Because at the time we were figuring there was so much pushed back. We weren't looking at the overlapping seasons even, but we thought there was so much Star Trek in the can that we would have endless Star Trek once a week, at least from one of the series that we knew about. And of course, that's the business model for Paramount Plus now, as it was for CBS All Access. Always give Trek fans some reason not to do the binge and off with a subscription, right? But apparently that's going to happen. This finale of Strange New Worlds Season 1 that happened last week, and whoa, what a finale. It's the last new one for a while. We don't have any firm premiere dates for Lower Decks Season 3, which is basically done. We don't have any premiere dates for the second half of even Prodigy's Season 1. There's 10 episodes out there that have not aired yet, that keep getting pushed around. Somewhere in the mix, we know Picard Season 3 has been done for at least a month or two, where they are in post. But by the time 10 and 10, will Picard Season 3 be the next one to air? Who knows? The new seasons of both Strange New Worlds, well, Strange New Worlds just wrapped Season 2. Now that's going to be a while, but it could be later by the end of the year. And then Discovery, of course, Discovery Season 5 is in the midst. Nobody has said a word about any of these dates. It's all been later in the year. Lower Decks has traditionally, one of the few things that's been from year to year, even with the COVID, has premiered in August. So we will see. Now, we've got San Diego Comic-Con coming up next week, which, as Star Trek takes its place, as I always say, at the big boy table among all the other franchises after, what, a 20-year, well, none of our legacy shows, none of the Berman era got to have a Hall H moment. And you know, they would have been the rock stars in 1994, the TNG cast. And probably Voyager the summer before it aired. So all that anticipation would have been out there. First Contact's movie cast, especially. They never had that chance. I'm glad to see that it's happening now. Combined shows, San Diego, there will be an hour and a half focusing on Strange New Worlds, on Picard, and on Lower Decks. Maybe we will get some news about dates here in 10 days or so. We'll see. Hang on for that. But for right now, we got nothing new, which is kind of a shock to the system after we thought we would have endless Trek as far as the eye could see, as far as the scanner could scan. Well, now, there is a headline of sorts. Nickelodeon finally got their shot at Prodigy, which Nickelodeon Studios actually produced Prodigy. And the original plan before the merger, before the re-shotgun wedding, was for Prodigy to be on Nickelodeon exclusively. But no, we don't do that. Once we reknitted the marriage of the two sides of the corporation, Paramount Plus had to get all the Star Trek jewels to drive subscriptions. But of course, they had to honor that contract somehow. So Nickelodeon's going to have it. I was always excited by this. I could not wait for a Star Trek to bust out beyond the streaming limits, especially back in the day when people were still somewhere between complaining and fretting about paying for a streaming channel. People have gotten used to that lifestyle and making choices and making hard decisions or getting good friends. And I'm talking here in the States. I know overseas, you guys are just now getting all the shows. Congratulations to the UK, who have now had, 2 or 3 weeks of Paramount Plus, 2 or 3 weeks of the Strange New World season just evolving. But no, Prodigy just premiered this last Friday, 1 episode at a time. So the kids who don't have streaming, at least here in the States, they're going to have a chance to see it. And so there's some new Star Trek of note, but for everybody who's been following week to week, we got a hiatus. How do you feel? I mean, I think as much as we worried about it at first, about burnout, and then saw, oh, well, we're going to have tastes of a show. And as aggravating as that is when it's your favorite and you think you have to wait a year after only getting 10 visits, it's been a smart overall decision to keep fleshing out the franchise in different directions. Even if one is not so much your favorite over another one, you almost can't afford to not pay attention. But here we go. We were all ginned up for that and not. Now, I'm going to say I would be not truthful if I didn't say I think it's kind of a relief. Now, do I want to go 3 months without in the old days, 26 killers and then 3? No, I'm fine. Not this atmosphere we have now. Not that we have this Star Trek commentator industry, which I try not to completely get lost in, but I've got lots of good friends and so many new people coming along all the time with podcasts and video shows and YouTubers. And you know what? As long as they're not of the toxic variety, it's all good. It's all in the family. And maybe you all can sound off on some of your favorite podcasts, especially the ones that are keeping up week to week. We are seeing whole networks develop, franchises develop around people having a podcast for almost every show. You almost couldn't blame people. And if you had wanted to get in and felt like you missed the first wave of podcasts way back in 2018, much less my friend Chris Jones all the way back in 2010, if you missed out on those waves, it's what better chance to jump in now that everything is new for everybody, as all these new series are just jumping off with their pilots and their wave of fans. So that's certainly been out there. It's almost been an industrialization of the fun of Star Trek. And I am not going to complain about it in the big sense, but I would be remiss if I didn't say, I think a breath, a little breather is a good thing to take here. So a few weeks, okay. But I do know it's July. I do know that Lower Decks has traditionally started in August. I don't think we're looking at an endless sea. We don't know where land will be that we can be rescued from again. There's no ship on the horizon. No, I think I see a ship on the horizon. I think I even see land. I think it's in another month. So whether we have 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, whatever it is, 5 weeks, I think it's a breather, much less the fact that we've got Comic-Con in 10 days. We'll have Trek Vegas at the end of July. We've got some other Shore Leave is coming up in July back east. That's at least good for a lot of writer and book news, perhaps. Some of the other summer cons are happening. We may see news headlines, at least, maybe some actor or writer lets a spoiler slip. It's not going to be totally endless. I just think it's a good chance for us to take a breather. So there's my question. What do you do over your Star Trek hiatus, huh? I don't know. Maybe you are going to said con in your future somewhere to hook up. Maybe you are, I know. Maybe you're going to watch the finale of Star Trek Strange New Worlds for the millionth time already. Maybe you're going to do a binge watch of Strange New Worlds. Maybe you've already done that and you're going to take your time and re-binge some of the other series. Maybe you'll go back and seeing, as Mike McMahon just recommended to everybody, maybe you're going to sit down and do a rewatch of Lower Decks to get ready. If the money is on Lower Decks coming up next in the draw, maybe you want to get fresh on Lower Decks coming out. Maybe you never gave Prodigy a chance. Maybe this is your chance to rewatch Prodigy. You know what? Maybe this is your chance if you don't have a young person in your life. Maybe this is your chance to find one and make a new Star Trek fan out of them. In fact, maybe this is your chance to take any mundane friend and have your rewatch with them. Come on, do your part, grow the franchise. Maybe this is your chance to have a friend who's a huge fan of Picard, but doesn't care about Discovery. And maybe sit down and tenderly go through some season of Discovery. They're all 4 separate shows, Maybe this is your chance to finally sit down with that Strange New Worlds fan, young person, who just never really got into Discovery. Maybe this is your chance to sit down with that Strange New World person who tried and could never watch the original series. And maybe if you show them Balance of Terror after the finale, maybe it's your time to, maybe you could do a public service announcement. Now, I'm not saying maybe this is your time you work on your cosplay, or maybe this is time you work on your 2259 Starfleet gear. Get your killer hypo, at least when it's in the hands of Christine Chappell. Get your hypo, your phaser, your tricorder, your communicator, what have you, up ready for your cosplay. Maybe this is the time you work on your artwork. Maybe this is the time you finally sit down and try some fan fiction. Who knows? Maybe this is the time, and I make fun of it all the time, but hey, it's a big galaxy, Mr. Scott. Maybe this is the time you even think about you've got an itch and you want to say something in pod form more than written word form. Maybe that's what happens. I mean, we have at least a month, we're thinking. Maybe there's time for you to indulge yourself that away. Do something for yourself. Do something with a friend who's not a fan, a friend who is a fan. See what I'm saying? Get close to your nieces and nephews with Prodigy. And if you watch Prodigy, maybe watch it on Nickelodeon and help out their numbers somewhere. Somehow there's a ticker going somewhere. I mean, there's a lot you could be doing on, and I'm sure everybody in the chat here eventually is going to talk about what they could be doing over Hiatus. I've got a really radical idea that kind of busts all, especially for everybody who did watch the finale of Strange New Worlds there. It's been a technique that they have dallied with once or twice that's been interesting. And it's a modern trend, but Star Trek doesn't have to be modern because Star Trek is timeless. But there are times Strange New Worlds, as in so many other aspects of Star Trek and in production, has shown it's not afraid to go to something different. And they have played with music, even pop music, once or twice in this debut season. I think most famously of all so far is, did you see the finale? How could you not help it? Catch that little interlude. Wonderful, wonderful little piece. It's a song called Making Memories. Singer Melissa Carper. Well, here, let me show you. I found you can find the album. You can find it on YouTube. You can download. Go buy it, please. Support her music if you enjoyed this. This might be the door to binging all of her music. But I do recommend you go over to YouTube, because here's my thing. I don't know where your pop culture doors open to, but when Stranger Things came back with its new season, they made big use out of an old Kate Bush song from the 80s called Running Up That Hill. And it was a sidebar story to, Stranger Things attracts enough mainstream media attention. It's on the parrots, it's a big deal. There's buzz. People talk at the water cooler, if there still is a water cooler with people still in offices. It made headlines and news because one of those things, it's like when Ferris Bueller had Twist and Shout. And it brought a song out of the closet, off the shelves, out of the archives, and back for, in many ways, a whole new audience of younger viewers who weren't around, younger listeners. And of course, anybody who did know it from the first time thought it was cool that their old favorite was out. So made a big splash, put it back on the charts again. That was Kate Bush. That was Running Up That Hill. That was Stranger Things. What about, I challenge you, Star Trek fans, what about if we did the same thing for Melissa Carper? Take a look at this.
I'm making memories I'd like to remember. I'm meeting new people I'd like to recall. Some of their names, like Larry and Steve. I'm making memories I'd like to keep. Well, I had some fun.
I'm going to fade that out because that's on YouTube. There's 2 or 3 ways to get it without even paying for it. I'd suggest you go pay for it. I can put the link in the chat here for that, because here's my challenge. Here is my challenge, Trekland. Let's run up that hill with Making Memories. Now, look, I did a little research. I checked it out Thursday, the day that the finale dropped. Someday I'm going to learn the name of the finale, obviously. Here's the YouTube link in the chat now. I just put it in for that song. I noticed that as of Thursday, now she released that song, and that's a trio version of it. That's very cool. There's another file that's just the static album, the way YouTube does. I'm going to say go to this one just because it's a little more alive. We might get more people to enjoy it if it's actual musicians playing. I noticed that a day later, basically, 6 p.m. Friday, after Thursday's wave and Friday's wave of viewers had time to soak up the finale, she had 12,703 views. She released this in January of 2021. So the song's been out a year and a half, obviously, because someone at Star Trek decided that was the song for that moment and made the deal for it, made the licensing. I noticed that as of Friday at 6 o'clock, there were 11 comments since the time, the last comment had been 3 months before. It was very easy to see where the break was. It was easy to see where the Strange New World boost came. It was 11 there. So as of, 18 hours later, there were 11 Trek comments out of 63 total. So 52 were before that. I checked early this morning. So at 2 a.m. Pacific on Tuesday, there were 13,882 views. So the views only went up about 900. There were 22 left comments there. Almost all but one were Trek related. So it's inching up there. People are finding their way. But unless you stumble into a social thread where somebody went out of their way to put it up, people aren't going there. It was a real sweet moment. It was amazing turnaround how they ended that whole vibe of spoilers of the what if scenario. And it really wasn't let's revisit Balance of Terror. It was, Chris, here's why you've got to get over this thing about trying to change your future. Here's why you can't. It was more about Chris Pine, really, than it was about, let's have a fun review of Balance of Terror. But when that was said and done, and on top of all this, we're going to stick a cliffhanger moment for the season. Not a big one, not a Mr. Worf fire. And for a minute, I didn't know if we were watching live action rotoscopes of the Lower Decks cliffhanger ending. But no, different captain, different characters. So that's that. And that music was a nice way to kind of savor, kind of simmer in the emotion of the moment, fade out, and then bam, go into this little tag at the end that sets you up for the season cliffhanger. So yeah, let's do a running up that hill moment for Star Trek. Let's do this. I'm going to do a short of this. I'm going to put it out there. We'll do socials. You guys try to spread the word. I put the link in here. Let's see what we can. I don't know if we will get hundreds and thousands of views and comments and bump her up to the top 10 again, the way Kate Bush's 1982 song went. But hey, it's a big hiatus. We've got all this spare time when we're not building fandom and getting ready for summer events. That won't take long, right? Let's do that. Let's do that. And hey, speaking of summer events, if you are going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, Saturday is the big Star Trek day, 12:45 to 2:15. Nope. Next Gen, nobody else got a Hall H moment, but our heroes today are getting one. Three of the cast with different actors and creators aside are showing up for 90 minutes, 12:45 to 2:15 in Hall H, the Star Trek Universe panel. Patrick and Gates, along with Alex and Rod, is going to sit through all three of these panels, which will be something different. Jack Quaid, Tawny Newsome, Noah Wells, and Don Lewis, speaking of Captain Freeman, and Mike McMahon, of course, and Alex and Rod are going to be there for Lower Decks. And Anson, Ethan Peck, Christina Chong, Celia Rose Gooding, and Paul Wesley, the new Captain Kirk, are all going to be there, along with Henry Alonso Myers, the showrunner with, not Akiva, but the co-showrunner with him, and Kurtzman and Rod for the Strange New World segment. Whether they each get 30 minutes apiece or there's one of them takes a little more time, I'm sure there'll be clips. If you're at home, I'm sure there'll be things instantly online to see. We'll see what CBS and Paramount Plus are doing for that. So that's on your radar in 10 days, wherever you are. But if you're in San Diego, that's a big day Saturday. We end up the day Saturday with a 5 o'clock panel with, we were calling it Star Trek in the Multimedia Verse. I'm going to moderate and panelize along with Dr. Erin McDonald, who's a science advisor. She's involved with a couple of book projects coming. We lost a couple of panelists due to travel snafus, but Erin's going to be there. Thomas Marone from Star Trek Online. The idea of the panel, and Aaron Harvey and a couple more artists, comic artists, good friend of mine, several of you, co-writer of the animated series reference guide. But the theme of the panel is Star Trek. Once you start adapting to other forms, How do you preserve Star Trek? How do you get it off the TV page? And of course, we've had that with novels and comics since day one. But now we're getting into some different aspects. The audio, not just an audio book, but the audio drama that the Raffi and Seven book that was out. So anyway, we're working on some more panelists. We'll see what happens at the end. But if you're there in San Diego, make it by 5 to 6, room 29 ABC. And we're in the grid and all that. That's coming. And then Vegas, of course, is coming. A lot of stuff is happening for Trek Vegas at the end of August. I can't wait. A lot of things are out there. I'm going to be there with Andy Richardson Kindred, who is just a treasure and a living piece of history from the original series. Gene Kuhn's assistant. She's going to have a main stage panel. I'm so excited. It's on the Creation website. We're going to be doing some other things. I'm going to be doing some panels for 2 of the Legacy anniversary shows. We've got the Roddenberry stage in addition to the secondary stage. So a lot of fun stuff is in the works. And of course, the usual lineup of hijinks. We will have the landing party. We are checking on where we're going to have it because, again, Trek Vegas is at Bally's, and everybody is going to be at square one about figuring out the flow of the Bally's official spaces, the unofficial spaces, the nightlife, the day life, how it's all going to work, and dealing with the Strip, which I'm personally not looking forward to. I like the suburban sprawl feel of the Rio. How many mundanes we'll have intruding in our space, or how hard it will be to get in and out. We'll see how that goes. But it'll be exciting, and we'll be there. And we may all still be masking, a lot of us again still. We'll see what happens. San Diego is still enforcing masking because of good old BA5 Omicron, which doesn't care whether you've been vaccinated or even had another variety of COVID before. So here we are going boldly. Maybe we'll still be in this hiatus at Comic-Con. Maybe the hiatus will be over by the time of Vegas in late August, and we'll be back with, I don't know, say Lower Decks. And no, I'm not acting on inside information here. I'm just going by the trends and the common talk. Maybe the same thing you do too. So that is coming up. I can't wait to do it. I should say also, kiddos, that before Vegas, the day before Vegas, if you're there, you should check this out. We've done this several times before, but not before 2019. It's the Valley of Fire Kirk Memorial Tour. We go out to the Valley of Fire where Generations was filmed. GeekNationTours.com. My friend Terrace has all kinds of geek and niche tours like that for military and historical and geek buffs of all kinds. This is our one day we're doing. I, on my own, the weekend before Vegas, August 20th and 21st, check this out at LarryNemecek.com. It's the Great Birds Origins Tour. We're doing not film locations, but the places of Gene Roddenberry's life as a child, as an adult, working, as a father, as a husband, a life as a cop all around LA to kind of give some real life texture to Gene's life and by extension, what Star Trek began as. Rod Roddenberry is going to be with us. It's going to be a fun time. I still need a couple more for this tour to make. Okay, we will base at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, but you don't have to stay there. But we do have a good room deal if you want to. That's coming up. It's going to be an exciting month here. So yes, folks, that's what I'm doing with my summer vacation. That's what I'm doing with my hiatus. Hope you sound off in the chat here, actually, and think what you're doing. And, if you can help expand the fan base and enjoy your own rewatch at the same time, maybe you've got a significant other. I started to say, forget a friend. No, that's not what I meant. Maybe your significant other, it's time. Or that recalcitrant child of yours. I don't know what's worse, being a complete geek of another color, flavor, or a not geek person, or someone who's even within the Trek family and has their favorite and has their not favorites. I don't know. It's your vacation time, your hiatus. Choose to do with it what you will, but keep watching all the creative social media. There'll still be bits and pieces coming out. Oh, I do want to also mention one thing you can do in the hiatus is root for your Star Trek Emmy nominations. The Hollywood Critics Association came out with nominees, and in their categories, separating streaming from network, and I posted on this. I Instagrammed and tweeted. Strange New Worlds was one of their 6 nominees. Again, this is the Hollywood Critics Association for Best New Streaming Drama. And Lower Decks was one of the 6 or so nominees for Best New Streaming Animation. So yay to them on those noms. But even more, just today, breaking news, all the nominations top to bottom, all the creatives and the apparently not creatives, like writer, director, actor, those were all announced for Emmys. Some are broken down by source platform, but others aren't. So Star Trek had 4 Emmy nominations. In fact, they're all from the recent season of Picard. Now, I'm going to think that Strange New Worlds was not eligible because it's too new. That's a thing too. So all the nominees are from Picard season 2. So congratulations to Outstanding Prosthetic Makeup. When we say that, we mean James McKinnon, who's the department head, Neville Page, who's the designer, the rest of his crew. They've got some competition. Angeline, that Gaslit, Impeachment from American Crime Story, Stranger Things, that's 5. That's 4 competitors they've got. So we wish them well. Outstanding Fantasy Science Fiction Costuming is its own category. And again, Picard is in there. Christine Beslan-Clark, who's the costume designer, and her 2 crew, costume supervisor and assistant costume designer, Michelle Ray Kinney and Allison Alger. What We Do in the Shadows, The Witcher, Moon Knight, Loki, and Boba Fett were all the other costumes in the fantasy sci-fi category. And then we've got a big category, sound editing for a creative or for comedy or drama. So there's one big mega sound editing category. And I'm going to have to bunch this up. The co-supervising sound editors, Matthew Taylor and Michael Shapiro for Star Trek Picard, are up against, I take that back. I totally overlooked this. I am sorry, folks. Strange New Worlds does have an Emmy nomination. Of course, it's also in sound editing. So 2 Star Treks are up against each other. It's the same 2 co-supervising sound editors, though, Matthew Taylor and Michael Shapiro, with a slightly different crew. They were up for the Picard episode Penance, and also for the Strange New Worlds episode Memento Mori, which is the first taste of the Gorn terrors and flashbacks. No, Stranger Things, Journey into Mystery, Boba Fett, and Better Call Saul are who they're up against. Now, we've got a character makeup category, non-prosthetic. Yay, Picard Hide and Seek episode is up there too. That is, the nominee list is Sylvia Knight, who was the assistant department head of makeup, who looks like she took that under all. That's the not prosthetic. They're up against A Stranger Things, Pam and Tommy, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and The First Lady. So I'm sorry, there are 5 nominees. 2 of them are against each other in the same category. The same crew heads, but different crew people below. That's sound editing. So congratulations to all of our Trek Emmy nominees. Shame on you, Academy, for not recognizing some of our incredible actors and writers and directors and visual effects. What is up with that? Some of the other categories that we've seen amazing work. I don't know. Is it the Canada? Is it the Canada thing? I don't know. I'm glad Strange New Worlds, though, was able to do. A lot of the post is done in the U.S., even though the on-stage shooting is done in Canada. So we'll have to see how that comes out. There's a hot news bit for you. And here's some hot news, too, for you, too. I really do appreciate all of our Patreons who jump in and help us every week. And you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Diana Hopkins, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Anne-Marie Siegel, Keith Rombach, Justin Porteous, Blaze K, Nathaniel Robinson, Andrew Jazimski, and Pranakesha Productions. And our live wires, yes, Rusty Harrell, Halbjorn Gunn Johnson, Robert McLean, Alan Hohensi, J.R. Poole, Byron Bailey, Dave Gregory, Gay Clevin Lundstrom, and Casey Shafsky. I want to thank all of them. If you want to join them, $5 and $10, that's all it is a month for a shout out. $10 is access to our interviews. We're working on it. Patreon.com/Trekland Live. That's what's going on there. I've also got a surprise coming, I hope, this Saturday. Going to have a new little burst greeting you on Saturday. It's just a tiny tidbit, even shorter than the Trek Files, but on YouTube, called Dr. Trek's Second Opinion. It's going to be a quickie, shorty. You're going to see it sometime around midday Saturday, and it will live on our Trekland channel too. So yes, everybody, please go like and subscribe over there too as well. Of course, it's a Tuesday. We've got a new Trek Files for you over at podcast.roddenberry.com or at our page on the Trek Files on Facebook, which is, of course, where the documents of the week are. We have a new guest, a TNG writer who was around for a year, although you would not know it. The very strange, interesting Star Trek career case of Sandy Fries, who is down as the writer. He's listed as the writer of Coming of Age, the episode we know about Wesley and his psych test. And it introduced the characters that later come back in Conspiracy. Very weird turn of events there. But Sandy's got an interesting different take on his world in Star Trek and since. Join us on the Trek Files, if you would. One more shout out here. Speaking of Picard, you can see some of those Emmy-nominated performances now. In season 2, the box is coming out October 4th. I like passing along, and there is over an hour of bonus features to go with the 10-hour episodes. All the stuff, all the cool techie features are there. It's all good. Check it out on Amazon, probably the best place to get it. And the best place to get me when we're not here live on Tuesdays, Larry Nemecek on Twitter, and yes, Larry Nemecek's Trekland on Facebook. On Instagram, love to see on Instagram, and most of all, please like and subscribe us on YouTube. You'll want to be there when, on top of everything else, we start peppering you with my second opinion. I think you can kind of tell what that's going to be about. But for everybody leaving us right now, because you're watching later on YouTube, again, join us live sometime on Tuesday when you can. But, if you are leaving us now, I mentioned it. We are still dealing with the COVID. So please, everybody, stay healthy, do all the things, stay woke, check your sources, and most of all, trek well. Enjoy your hiatus and trek well.